storm hit at 0300 hours, 40 nautical miles west of the Marquesas. Marcus had sailed alone for 6 months. 6 months of reading wind and water, of talking to no one, of becoming part of the boat rather than its captain. The solitude had stopped feeling heavy 3 months ago. Now it felt natural, right? But the storm did not care about his comfort with silence. It came from nowhere. No warning on the barometer, no shift in the sky. One moment the Pacific was glass. The next 20-foot swells and wind that screamed. Marcus secured everything that could move, lashed down the sail, sealed the hatches, did everything by muscle memory because thinking took too long. The boat, a 32-foot sloop named Meridian, pitched and rolled, climbed mountains of water and fell into valleys. The mast groaned. The hull shuddered. He stayed at the wheel for 8 hours, hands locked, body wedged, watching the compass spin as the storm pushed him east, then south, then east again. By noon, the wind had died as suddenly as it arrived. The ocean was calm, almost apologetically calm. Marcus checked his position. The GPS showed coordinates that meant nothing. He was 200 miles south of where he should be, in a part of the Pacific marked empty on every chart. He tried the radio. Static, the satellite phone showed no signal. Impossible this close to the equator. But the screen confirmed it. No connection. Marcus exhaled slowly, forced his hands to unclench from the wheel. He was lost, truly lost. Not in the romantic sense of finding yourself through adventure. Lost in the way that killed sailors. Lost where rescue might never come because no one would think to look here. He checked the water supply, the fuel, the food, enough for 3 weeks if he rationed. 4 if he pushed it. The compass still worked, the sextant still worked. He could navigate by stars, could find his way back to shipping lanes eventually. But first, he needed to assess damage and rest. Marcus set a sea anchor and went below deck. The cabin was chaos. Books scattered, charts torn from the walls, a broken mug he cleaned mechanically. Finding comfort in the simple task. When he emerged 2 hours later, he saw it. Land impossible, but there, a dark shape on the horizon too substantial to be a cloud, too green to be rock. He checked the charts again, nothing. The GPS showed only ocean. But his eyes did not lie. An island. Maybe 2 miles long, rising from the Pacific in a place where no island should exist. Marcus felt something stir in his chest. Not quite hope, not quite fear. Curiosity mixed with the exhaustion of someone who had been alone too long. He raised the mainsail and turned toward it. The wind was gentle now, apologetic, pushing him toward the island as if making amends for the violence of the storm. As he approached, details emerged. White sand beaches, dense jungle rising up volcanic slopes, a protected bay with water so clear he could see the bottom 20 feet down, and a dock wooden, well-maintained, not ancient, not rotting, fresh timber with metal cleats that caught the afternoon sun. Marcus dropped anchor 30 meters out and stared at the dock. A dock meant people, civilization, help, but no boats were tied there. No signs of activity, no movement anywhere on the island. He cupped his hands and shouted, "Hello!" The sound died immediately, absorbed by the jungle. Not even an echo. Marcus waited, counted to 100, shouted again. Nothing. He lowered the dinghy and rowed to shore. Each stroke through the clear water showed more impossibilities. Coral formations too pristine. Fish that should not exist together. Water temperature that shifted from warm to cold to warm again. The dinghy scraped sand. Marcus pulled it up the beach and tied it to a palm tree that looked like every postcard palm tree he had ever seen. Almost artificially perfect. The dock was solid under his feet. New wood, no barnacles, no wear. As if it had been built yesterday. A path led from the dock into the jungle, packed dirt. Well-traveled, recently cleared. Marcus followed it. The jungle was wrong. Not in any way he could articulate. The leaves were the right shade of green. The flowers smelled as flowers should. Birds sang, though he could not see them. Everything was correct, but something fundamental was off. Like a stage set. Like a painting of a jungle rather than an actual jungle. The path curved, widened, and opened into a village. Marcus stopped walking. The village was small, maybe 20 buildings. Wooden structures with thatched roofs, a central square with a well. Gardens with vegetables growing, clothes hanging on lines. A chicken coop, though he saw no chickens. And in the center of the square, a long table set for a meal. Marcus approached slowly. His footsteps on the packed earth were the only sound. Not even wind rustled the leaves. The table held plates of food, fresh bread, fruit, a pot of coffee still steaming, cups waiting to be filled, chairs pulled out as if people had just stood to fetch something and would return momentarily. But the food was not hot. It was room temperature. The coffee was not steaming. He had imagined that wanted so badly for there to be warmth. He touched the bread, fresh, soft, made within the day. He looked around the village. Every door was open. Clothes hung on every line. Tools leaned against walls mid-task. A book lay open on a porch. A child toy sat in the dirt, but not a single person, not one soul. Marcus felt his pulse quicken. This was not abandonment. Abandonment had a quality of time, of decay, of nature reclaiming what humans left behind. This was interruption. As if every person in the village had simply vanished mid-moment. Mid-breath, he walked to the nearest house. Stepped through the open door. Inside was a kitchen, a pot on the stove, vegetables half chopped on a cutting board, a knife beside them, a chair knocked over. But no blood, no signs of struggle, no indication of violence, just absence. Marcus backed out of the house. His breathing had gone shallow. "Hello," he called again. Louder this time. "Is anyone here?" Silence. Complete. Total, as if the island itself was holding its breath. He walked through the village, checked every building, found the same scene repeated. Life interrupted, activities abandoned mid. Completion, but no people, no bodies, no explanation. In one house, a baby cradle still rocked gently, but no baby slept inside. In another, a journal lay open to an entry dated yesterday. The handwriting was neat, methodical, describing a normal day. Fishing repairs to a roof. A child's birthday planned for the evening. The entry ended mid-sentence. Marcus closed the journal carefully. His hands were shaking. This was wrong. This was impossible. Islands did not appear on calm seas. Villages did not vanish, leaving everything behind. Reality did not work this way. But he was here. The village was here. The evidence was here. He returned to the central square, to the table with its waiting meal. He poured a cup of coffee from the pot. It was cold, but he drank it anyway. The taste was real, normal, good coffee. He sat at the table, in a chair someone else had pulled out, and tried to think. The storm had pushed him off course, into uncharted water, to an island that was not on any map, to a village that had been occupied within the day but now held no one options. He could leave, return to his boat, sail away and report this to authorities when he reached civilization. Let someone else solve the mystery, or he could stay, investigate. Try to understand what had happened here. Marcus looked at the sun. 3 hours until dark. He would stay until morning. Search more thoroughly. Maybe there was a rational explanation. Maybe the villagers were all somewhere else on the island. Maybe they would return. He stood and began a systematic search of the perimeter. As the sun sank lower, casting long shadows through the unnaturally perfect jungle, Marcus realized he had made a terrible mistake. He was not alone on the island. Something was watching him. He could feel it, a presence, a weight, like standing in front of a camera you cannot see. And somewhere in the jungle, just beyond the edge of the village, something moved. Marcus did not return to the boat that night. The presence he felt grew stronger as the sun set. The sensation of being observed became so intense he could not bring himself to turn his back on the jungle, could not walk the path back to the beach. So he chose a house, the one with the journal, the one with the solid door that could be barred from the inside. He brought the journal with him, sat at the small table by candlelight. The candles were fresh, the matches worked, and read the journal belonged to someone named Thomas, an English name, but the entries were in French. Marcus's French was decent enough to translate. Thomas wrote about daily life on the island, fishing catches, weather patterns, births and deaths, the rhythm of a small community living simply. But there was something off about the entries, not in what they said, but in what they did not say. No mention of the outside world, no boats arriving or leaving, no supplies being delivered, no contact with other islands or mainland. The community was completely self-sufficient. Had been for, Marcus flipped backward through the journal. Years, decades based on the dates. But the journal itself was new, the pages crisp, the binding tight. Marcus flipped to the first entry. It was dated 5 years ago, but the handwriting looked identical to the most recent entry. No aging, no deterioration of penmanship, as if Thomas had not aged at all in 5 years. He set down the journal and looked around the house. Everything was perfect. The furniture showed no wear. The floors had no scratches. The walls no marks. Even the book on the shelf looked unread despite being 50 years old based on the publication date. It was like living in a museum diorama, or a movie set maintained by obsessive hands. Marcus tried the door, still barred secure. but the windows showed only darkness outside. Complete darkness, no stars, no moon, just black. He returned to the journal, skimmed through years of entries looking for any hint of what had happened. Any indication of trouble or change, but every day was described as perfect weather, perfect touches. Perfect harmony, no conflicts, no accidents, no illnesses, no problems. It was not how humans lived. Communities had friction, had challenges, had the texture of real life. This was a script. A performance of village life rather than actual living. Marcus found the final entry again. Read it slowly. Another beautiful day, of fish were plentiful. Jean repaired the roof of the meeting house. Marie is planning little Sophie birthday celebration for this evening. We are grateful for... The sentence ended there, mid-word. The pen had been set down, or dropped, and Thomas had stopped existing. Marcus closed the journal, blew out the candle, lay on the bed fully clothed. Sleep did not come. He listened to the silence outside. Perfect silence. No insects, no birds, no wind, no ocean sound despite being on an island. Just silence. Waiting at some point, exhaustion took him. He dreamed of standing in the village square. The table was full of people. Men, women, children, all sitting frozen, motionless, eyes open, but not seeing. And around them, the jungle pressed closer. The trees were not trees, they were arms reaching. Marcus woke to daylight streaming through the window. He sat up. His body ached from tension, his mouth was dry. He unbarred the door and stepped outside. The village looked exactly as it had yesterday. The table still set, the clothes still on the lines, the doors still open. But there was a new detail, something he had not noticed before. Footprints. In the dirt around the well, small, bare, human-shaped, leading from the well to the edge of the jungle, then disappearing. Marcus followed them. His heart was pounding. The prints were fresh, made during the night, while he slept behind his barred door. Someone or something had been in the village, had walked to the well, had drunk or drawn water, then had returned to the jungle. Marcus stood at the edge where the prints disappeared. The jungle was impenetrable here, dense, dark. The trees grew so close together no human could pass between them. But something had, he called out. I know you are there. I know you are watching, please. I just want to understand. Where is everyone? What happened here? Silence then, slowly, an answer. Not words, a sound low, rhythmic, coming from deep in the jungle, humming. Someone was humming, a melody, simple, childlike. The kind of tune a mother might hum to soothe a baby. Marcus felt his skin crawl. Hello. He called again. Can you help me? The humming stopped. In its place, a voice, female, young, speaking French. You should not have come here. Marcus stepped closer to the jungle. Why? What is this place? Where is everyone? They are here. They are always here, you will see. When the sun sets, you will see. See what? But the voice did not answer. The jungle was silent again. Marcus backed away. His instinct was screaming to run, to return to the boat, to leave this island immediately. But the rational part of his mind needed answers, needed to understand. He spent the day searching, found more footprints, found marks on trees at the jungle edge, strange symbols carved into bark, found a calendar in one house with every day marked with an X years of excess decades, and he found the cemetery. It was on the north side of the village. Small, maybe 30 graves, simple wooden crosses, names and dates carved into them. Marcus walked among them. Read the names: Thomas, Marie, Jean, Sophie. All the names from the journal, and every grave was dated the same day, 5 years ago, the day the journal started. Marcus stood among the graves and felt his understanding shift. The village was not abandoned, it was haunted. Marcus did not leave the cemetery until the sun began to set. He sat among the graves and tried to process what he had discovered, tried to find an explanation that did not involve accepting the impossible. But the evidence was undeniable: the names, the dates, the perfect preservation of everything, the absence of decay. This was not a living village. It was a memory of one, a reconstruction, a loop. And whatever force maintained it had been waiting for someone new to arrive, waiting for him. As the sun touched the horizon, Marcus heard them. Voices, distant, indistinct, coming from the direction of the village. He stood, walked carefully to the edge of the cemetery, looked down the path. The village was no longer empty. People moved through the square, 30, 40 men and women and children dressed simply, going about tasks, setting the table, drawing water, hanging clothes, living, but something was wrong with the way they moved. Too smooth, too perfect. Like puppets on invisible strings, like animations not quite matching reality. Marcus watched from the cemetery, hidden by trees. A woman approached the table, set down a pot, smiled at nothing. Return to a house. A child ran across the square laughing. But the laugh was a loop, the same 3 seconds repeated, over and over. A man split wood. Each strike identical, each piece falling the same way. Again. They were not alive. They were echoes. Impressions. Memories playing on repeat. Marcus felt his breathing quicken. He should leave. Should run back to the beach. To his boat, away from this place. But as he turned, he saw her, the girl standing at the edge of the cemetery, maybe 10 years old, wearing a simple dress, her feet bare, looking directly at him. "You see them now," she said, the same voice from the jungle. Marcus could not speak, could not move. The girl tilted her head. "They do not know they are gone. They repeat their last day, forever. Because the island will not let them leave." "What are you?" Marcus managed. "I am Sophie. I was Sophie. I lived here. I died here. And now I am part of here. The cemetery is where we ended. Yes, fire, the whole village. 5 years ago, a lantern fell. Everything burned. Everyone died." Sophie stepped closer. Marcus could see now that she was not quite solid, not quite real. Light passed through her in places. "The island brought us back, gave us form, lets us continue. But we are not alive. We are the island dreaming us." "Why?" Marcus whispered. "Because the island is lonely. Because it needs to be seen. Because a place without people is not a place at all. It is just emptiness." Marcus looked past Sophie to the village. The echoes continued their routines. Unaware, trapped in the moment before the fire, before the end. "And me?" he asked. "Why did the storm bring me here?" Sophie smiled. It was a sad smile, an ancient smile on a child face. "To give us something new, someone who can choose, the others cannot. They are locked, but you," she reached out a translucent hand, "you can stay, become part of the island, be remembered forever, or you can leave, return to your boat, sail away. And the island will sink back beneath the waves, will cease to exist, and we will finally stop." Marcus understood then. The island was not haunted. It was a ghost itself. A place that should not exist, held in existence by some force that could not let go. And he was the choice, the tipping point. Stay, and the island continues. The echoes play forever, and he becomes one of them. Leave and it ends. All of it. The island, the village, the echoes. Everything dissolves back into the ocean, into forgetting. "What do you want?" Marcus asked Sophie. She looked at him with eyes far older than her apparent age. "I want to stop being. I want the dream to end. But the island wants to continue. It will not let us go unless someone chooses to leave, unless someone rejects it. Why did not anyone else come? Other sailors? They did over the years. 3 others. But they stayed. Chose to remain, became part of the dream. And so the island continued." Sophie pointed to the village. Marcus followed her gaze and saw them. 3 figures at the edge, different from the others, moving more naturally, looking confused. Lost. Sailors, like him. Trapped in the dream, unable to leave because they had accepted. Had chosen the comfort of the perfect village over the uncertainty of the empty ocean. "How long?" Marcus asked. "Time does not pass here. Not really. They have been here days, or decades. There is no difference." Marcus looked at the village, at the echoes, at the trapped sailors, at Sophie standing translucent and sad. "If I leave," he said slowly, "you all disappear. Cease to exist. We do not exist now. Not truly. We are memories, echoes. The island pretending we are still here. But if I stay, we continue forever. And you join us, become another echo, another loop, and the island remains, waiting for the next sailor, the next choice." Marcus closed his eyes, felt the weight of the decision. Stay and be part of something eternal, something impossible. Never be alone again. Never face the empty ocean. Live in a perfect dream, or leave and accept that some things should end. That memory should fade. When he opened his eyes, Sophie was still waiting. "What do you want me to do?" he asked. "Leave," she whispered. "Please let us end. Let us stop being this half-life. Let the island sink. Let us finally rest." Marcus nodded slowly. "Then I will go." Sophie smiled, a real smile this time, filled with gratitude and relief. "Thank you." She stepped closer, placed her translucent hand over his heart. He felt cold, felt something lift. A weight he had not known was there. "Go now. Before the island changes your mind. It will try. It will show you things. Offer you things. But you must reach your boat and leave before sunrise. Or you will never leave." Marcus turned, started walking toward the path to the beach behind him. Sophie called out one last time. "Tell them we were here. Tell them we lived. Even if no one believes you. Even if there is no proof. Tell them the island was real. That we were real, please." Marcus looked back. Sophie was fading. becoming less substantial. The village behind her was starting to blur. The echoes were slowing, stopping. "I will," he promised, and he ran. The path back to the beach was different. Marcus ran, but the jungle pressed closer. The trees moved, impossible but true, shifting to block his way. Branches reached out like arms. Roots rose from the ground like tripwires. The island was fighting, trying to keep him. He pushed through, tore his arms on thorns that had not been there before, stumbled over roots that writhed like snakes, kept moving behind him. He heard voices. Not the echoes, something else, the island itself, speaking in a voice like wind through caves, like grinding stone. "Stay, why would you leave? You are tired, you are alone. Stay with us, never be alone again." Marcus did not answer, did not slow. The jungle opened suddenly into the beach, but it was wrong. The sand was black now. The water was dark. The sky was starless, and his boat was gone. Marcus stopped at the waterline, looked out at the empty bay. The meridian had vanished. The anchor line cut or dissolved, or never had been real. The island had taken it. "Stay." The voice repeated, closer now. "There is nothing for you out there, only emptiness, only silence. Here you have community, purpose, existence. Stay." Marcus felt the pull, the temptation, the exhaustion of fighting. It would be so easy to turn around, to walk back to the village, to accept the offer, to stop struggling. But he remembered Sophie, her translucent form, her ancient eyes in a child face, her desperate plea to let them end. He looked out at the dark water, at the place where his boat should be, and he saw it, a faint glow beneath the surface. 20 meters out, the meridian, not gone, sunk, held underwater by some force. Marcus did not hesitate. He ran into the water, dove, swam toward the glow. The water was warm, then cold, then warm again, temperature shifting as the island tried to confuse him, to turn him around, to make him give up. But Marcus had been a swimmer before he became a sailor, had free dived to 40 meters, could hold his breath for 3 minutes. He swam down into darkness. Toward the glow, the meridian came into focus intact, undamaged, just held, pressed down by invisible weight. Marcus grabbed the anchor line, pulled himself down to the deck, found the emergency release, triggered it. The weight lifted. The boat began to rise. Marcus kicked upward with it. His lungs burned, his vision narrowed, but he kept kicking. They broke the surface together. Marcus gasped air, pulled himself onto the deck, lay there coughing and shaking. The island was screaming, a sound like tearing metal, like grief, like rage. The jungle was on fire, not real fire, something else. Light pouring out from between the trees. The village was dissolving. The echoes were fading into nothing. Marcus stood, stumbled to the wheel, turned the engine. It caught, roared. Impossible after being underwater, but he did not question it. He reversed away from the island. The water fought him, currents pulling him back, waves pushing him toward shore. But the meridian was built for ocean crossings, built strong, and Marcus had sailed her through worse. He turned the bow away from the island, opened the throttle, pushed forward. The island receded behind him, burning with impossible light, collapsing, sinking, returning to wherever it had come from. And standing on the beach, Marcus saw them. All of them, the echoes, the trapped sailors, Sophie, transparent, fading. But watching him leave, Sophie raised her hand, a wave, a goodbye, a thank you. Marcus waved back, and then they were gone. The island was gone, the light died, the water smoothed. Marcus was alone on the empty Pacific. No land in sight, no sign anything had been there at all. He checked the GPS, it worked now, showed him exactly where he was, exactly where he needed to go. He set the course, engaged the autopilot, and collapsed on the deck. Sleep took him immediately. Marcus reached Tahiti 4 days later. He reported the storm, the deviation, the incident, to the harbor master, to the Coast Guard. To anyone who would listen, they listened politely, recorded his statement, checked his boat, found saltwater damage consistent with submersion, found scratches and tears consistent with jungle passage, found evidence that everything he said was true. But when they sent a survey team to the coordinates he provided, they found nothing. Deep ocean, no island, no shallows, no sign anything had ever been there. Marcus was offered psychological evaluation, gently, kindly, the kind of offer that meant they thought he had broken, that solitude had done what solitude does to minds not built for it. He refused, because he knew what he had seen, what he had experienced, what choice he had made. The island had been real, the village had been real, the echoes had been real, and now they were not, because he had chosen to leave, had chosen to let them end. Marcus sold the meridian, could not bring himself to sail her again. She had been underwater, had been touched by impossible things, was not quite the same boat anymore. He bought a small house on the coast, got a job at a marina, lived simply, alone but not lonely. And sometimes, late at night, he thought he could hear it. Faint, distant, like a memory of a memory. A child humming, a simple melody. The kind a mother might hum to soothe a baby. And he would whisper into the darkness, I told them you were real. I told them you lived. And the humming would fade, and Sophie would rest, and the island would remain forgotten as it should be, as it had to be. Because some things are not meant to exist forever. Some places are not meant to be found. Some stories are not meant to have witnesses. Marcus lived the rest of his life carrying that knowledge, that burden, that gift. He had been to a place that was not real, had spoken to people who were not alive, had made a choice that ended a world, and he would never forget, could never forget, even though no one believed him, even though there was no proof he knew. And that was enough.